In your life, you're gonna have problems. But what if I told you you could use your problems as opportunities that move you closer to your destiny? The title of today's conversation is Become Bigger Than Your Problems. Welcome back to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast, where we are here to take one bold step towards our dream. If you're new here, I'd encourage you to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all of our conversations throughout the month. We drop every first and third Monday, also that way you can grow. And we always talk about goals, mindset, and self-leadership. So if that's interesting to you, I'd encourage you to hit the subscribe button and join us. Listen, in today's conversation, we're talking about becoming bigger than your problems. Becoming bigger than your problems. This is an important topic for us to discuss simply because there are a lot of us who are stuck because we are faced with a problem. And the reality is, in order for us to achieve the success that we're looking for, in order for us to have the impact that we're looking to have, we are going to have to figure out how to handle problems. And the best way to handle problems is to become bigger than your problems. Because when we become bigger than our problems, we now shift the way in which those problems affect our lives, to which those problems now become opportunities that move us closer to our destiny. And so I'm going to be sharing with you today just 3 ways in which we're going to do that. All right. 3 ways in which you can become bigger than your problems. All right. And the first way in which we become bigger than our problems, and this is a mental shift. Number 1, you have to see yourself as a problem solver. And this is very important because a lot of us don't view ourselves properly, and because we aren't viewing ourselves properly, we're not going out into the world the way that we should. And so when I want to view myself properly, all right, there's 3 thoughts that I have with this. The first thought, when we think about wanting to start seeing ourselves as a problem solver, you need to, number 1, pre-decide that you're not going to quit. So when you think about whatever it is that you are pursuing, whether it's a new job, whether it's your first house, whether it's you want to find a wife, find a husband, whatever it is, you have to make a pre-decision that you are not going to quit. And this is a very deep and personal commitment to yourself. So that way, when you are faced with trouble, there is no trouble that you can face that can cause you to break your personal commitment to yourself. And when you make this personal deep commitment to yourself that you are not going to quit, you will know that failure is not an option. You know that quitting is not an option. And the only way you're going to move through the problem, the only way you're going to navigate the problem is by solving it. So you will easily be able to see yourself as a problem solver when you, number 1, pre-decide that you are not going to quit. All right. You're not going to quit. The second way in which you're going to see yourself as a problem solver is that you are first going to think. You're going to think first. And I know this sounds super simple. It sounds even basic and elementary. But let me tell you, thinking is the one thing that people forget to do. As soon as a problem presents itself, the first thing that most people do is that they panic. The first thing that they do is they basically hit the red button, all is lost, and they are just in a frenzy. And I'm here to tell you that if you want to start seeing yourself as a problem solver, your first reaction needs to be to think. So when you do encounter an obstacle, when you do have a problem that comes across your desk, your first thought is, okay, what is the problem that I'm facing? And what are some potential solutions? As opposed to, oh my goodness, this problem is in front of me. How could this happen? Who's responsible for this? All of that type of information is irrelevant when you have a problem that is in front of you. So if you want to start seeing yourself as a problem solver, number 1, you are going to need to pre-decide that you're not going to quit. But number 2, you're going to have to think first. All right. Not flip out first, not cry first. You need to think first. All right. When problems come across your desk, you're going to have to think. All right. And then the last thing, number 3, if you want to start seeing yourself as a problem solver, you just simply have to accept that it's up to you to solve it. It's up to you to solve the problem, because whatever problem you may be facing, no matter how hard it may be, understand the only person that's going to get you out of it is you. So I want you to take personal responsibility and do whatever you need to do to solve the problem. Hey, I want to take a second and invite you to the Dreamer Symposium. This year's theme is Next Level Living, and this is a 2-day growth conference for you to set big New Year's goals, for you to strategize for success, and for you to network with other like-minded dreamers. Listen, this is a conference that you do not want to miss. It's changed the lives of many, and I believe it can change yours as well. So be sure to go to dreamersymposium.com or to go in the description link below so that way you can claim your spot to go to the Dreamer Symposium. Whether you get a VIP ticket or a gold ticket, I just want you to do what you need to do for you to be in the room. It's happening on December 7th in Jackson, New Jersey, and it's going to be special. It's going to be life-changing, and I look forward to seeing you there. Now, let's get back to the episode. Because you are capable of solving the problem. But what we do sometimes is that we give away our power because we always need to be told what to do whenever we're facing a problem, as opposed to thinking for ourselves and becoming the solution. And so if you want to start really seeing some things change in your life, I'm going to encourage you to, number one, see yourself as a problem solver. And this is important because how you see yourself determines how you handle life. And so if you want to start handling life like a dreamer, if you want to start handling life like a leader and a high achiever, I'm going to encourage you to start changing how you see yourself. And it starts with seeing yourself as a problem solver. The second thing that you're going to need to do if you want to become bigger than your problems is that you need to see your problem as a privilege. And I know that might sound so counterintuitive, but trust me, you have to see your problems as a privilege because they are privileges. And here's why. I have 2 reasons for you. Number one, your problem shows your position. Oh, that's so good. Your problem shows your position because no matter what position you're at, not every position has the same type of problems. There are only certain type of problems you can have when you're in certain positions. So the problems that somebody has that makes 6 figures is very different than the problems that somebody that makes 5 figures. The problem that somebody has with a family is very different than the problems that somebody has when they're single. And I can go on and on with examples, but you have to understand that your problem is a privilege because your problem is an indicator of your position. And so when I shift how I view the problem and I simply say, you know what, this is a problem. This could be bad. And I am a chief problem solver. I'm going to solve this. But I also understand that even having this problem is a privilege. Emotionally, you're going to be at ease. Emotionally, you'll be able to rest because you understand, you know what, it's a privilege to even have this problem. It's a privilege to even have people on payroll. It's a privilege to even have employees. It's a privilege to even, to have a wife, to have a husband. It's a privilege to have kids. It's a privilege. And too often, because we are faced with the problem, we lose the blessing that is in front of us. And which leads me to the second reason why we need to see our problems as privileges. Because number 2, your problem was once the very thing that you prayed for. And I know that even then sounds weird. It sounds off. But here's what you have to understand. When you are praying for more, you are basically praying for everything that comes with it. If you're praying for a new car, that means you're also praying for a higher car payment. If you're praying for a bigger business, that means you're praying for a higher overhead. If you're praying for a bigger platform, that means you are also praying for people attacking you online, whatever it is. But this is where it's been described as the backside of the blessing. There's one thing is always more of everything. So you have to understand that you have to start seeing your problem as a privilege. Number one, because it's an indicator of your position. But you also have to see that your problem is something that you once prayed for. Now, you might not have known you prayed for it, but you still prayed for it. Because again, the higher you go, the more the different types of problems you're going to see. Because again, your problems are an indication of your position, which makes them a privilege. It's a privilege to be where you are. It's a privilege to have what you have. And if you value what you have, the problems that you are facing, you will start seeing it as privileges. And when you start understanding the privileges that you have, you will start handling the problems differently as opposed to breaking down, feeling like you're all alone by yourself. But you're going to start seeing yourself as a problem solver, and you're going to understand that the problem that's in front of you is a privilege. And so you will handle it like such. Meaning that you're going to respect whatever's going on, but you're going to solve it because you understand you're the chief problem solver. All right. Because you're a problem solver. So That's number two. And let me leave you with this. Seeing your problems as a privilege requires a perspective shift. You just have to change the way you see it. You have to change the way you see the problem. So I want you to start seeing the problem as a privilege. The third and final thing that you're going to do if you want to become bigger than your problems, number three, is you're going to see your potential as the solution. You're going to see your potential as the solution. So what does this mean? This is a two-step process. Number one, you're going to get clear on how you can grow. You're going to get clear on the opportunity that's in front of you. So what does this mean? What does this look like? When a problem comes across your desk, a problem hits your phone, a problem hits your email, whatever it is, right? It's a problem that you have to solve. And you understand, okay, I am a problem solver. This problem came across my desk and I'm the one to handle it. I also understand it's a privilege to even have this problem. So now it's up to me to actually solve it. The next step that you're going to need to take is figuring out, okay, when I solve this problem, what will I have learned? What lesson would I have gained as a result of solving this problem? How do I become a better person as a result of solving this problem? How do I become a better friend? How do I become a better husband? How do I become a better business person? How do I become a better employee, a better manager, a better leader as a result of solving the problem that's in front of me? And when we personalize the problem this way, your attitude towards the problem will completely change. Where now the problem that once caused you to back up and take steps back now has you stepping up boldly because you understand the opportunity for growth that is there and that's possible when you understand the problem, when you see your potential. Okay, when you see who you can become as a result of solving the problem. Because listen, one thing I've learned, people pay attention to other people who solve problems. So if you want to start having some influence, if you want to start turning some heads, if you want to start making an impact where people pay attention to you, you need to start solving some problems. So when you understand this concept of seeing your potential as the solution, you're going to start understanding, okay, I'm going to grow if I solve more problems, which then leads me to number two. When you get clear on how you can grow, number two, you're just going to create an action plan. Simple. When the plan comes across your desk, you're just going to create a plan of attack of, okay, here's how I'm going to solve this problem. Here's what solving the problem looks like. Here's where I am. And here are the action steps that will allow me to get there. I'll give you guys a personal story. When a couple of years ago, I was working at a job that honestly, I absolutely hated this job. Like flat out, I deeply disliked the job. It wasn't necessarily a corporate job, but it was a job, 9 to 5, show up, all that different type of stuff. And I disliked it with every fiber of my being. I felt like such a loser at this job. I felt like a failure as an entrepreneur because I had to go get this job. It was just a mess. And because I viewed it that way, I missed so much time, and I was every day just frustrated and going home crying every single day. And it was just a bad situation. And I remember there was a breaking point where I was driving home and there was something wrong with my car. And it was so bad that I basically had to pull the car over. And I was in such a bad spot. I mean, between working a job I hated, to now a car that was barely working. And I just was upset. And I remember just breaking down, crying. Like I'll be honest with y'all, I had a complete breakdown in this car. Like, I mean, driving home, car is shaking, it was a mess. So I break down crying, and I just remember a boldness that just raised up within me that simply said, you know what? I'm going to figure this out, to my point of where you just understand it's up to you. And from that day, I decided to shift my perspective on the job. And one of the things that I gained as a result of it was that I became a better salesperson, and I learned how a successful business is run. And after that moment, that breaking point experience that I told you about in the car, I then started paying way more attention to how the company I was working at, how it ran, what was included, what did this company have, what were they offering, the packaging, the communications, all of it. But also I was also working my sales skills as well because I worked as a sales rep there. And so automatically in one day, just by a decision to change my perspective, this went from a job that I absolutely hated to a job where I saw the growth. And I knew that if I leaned into the growth, I would then become better. And lo and behold, once I got all that I needed to get from the job, I was then able to step back into entrepreneurship full time. But how was that even possible? It was possible because I decided that I was not going to quit. I decided that it was up to me to solve this bad boy. And then I decided to put my hands to work. I decided to act. And so now the job that I hated was the very necessary obstacle I had to overcome to be who I am today. And so I share that story with you because you may be in a position, or you may be about to encounter, or you've encountered in past, where you're encountering a problem that seems unsolvable. You're in a situation that seems unfathomable. And I'm here to tell you that, just as a recap, number one, you have to see yourself as the chief problem solver. You are a problem solver, so you have to see yourself as such. Number two, you have to see your problem as a privilege. It's a privilege to be where you are. And then number three, you have to see your potential as the solution. And I promise you, if you do these things, if you do what I'm telling you, you will become bigger than your problems. So I hope that this conversation was helpful to you. And all I'm going to ask you to do, I have two favors to ask of you, just two. If this was helpful to you in any way, I'm going to ask you to share this with someone that you know. Share this with a friend, a coworker, a family member, just someone that you know has problems, and it's time for them to become bigger than those problems. The second thing I'm going to ask you to do is to go in the description. In there is a link to download a end of year audit, which is just 5 simple questions that you can ask yourself and simply reflect on, so that way you can not just finish this year strong, but also enter the new year even stronger. All right. That's the favor. That's it. You guys know we have a growth conference coming up. So if you want to come, you know what it is. Go in the description link for that too. But I believe in you. I believe in you, and I want you to become bigger than your problems. As we finish out this year, I don't want you to finish out this year and we just start 2025 like it's normal. I want you to make the decision to go higher. I want you to make the decision to do more. I want you to make the decision to expand your territory because you're able. And the only way you do that is a large part of understanding how to become bigger than your problems. I really do appreciate you guys rocking with me. I really do appreciate all of you for joining this community. And listen, I can't say it enough. I genuinely cannot say it enough. So as you prepare for our next conversation, check out our last conversation, and always remember, your dream is possible when you get better.